What's up, Bills Mafia? At this time every single year, there are players that are vying for practice squad spots. There's players that are vying for roster spots. And there's also players that are vying for starting roles on this team. And they are fighting it out. They are duking it out. They're trying to get those first team reps. They're trying to prove in preseason games that they can contribute at a high level. And today, I want to talk about one of the most competitive spots on our roster right now, and that is the second starting safety. We all know that Taylor Rapp's going to be starting the year for us at that first safety spot, but who is going to go next to him week 1 against the Ravens? Is it going to be the reliable and the consistent Damar Hamlin, who's steady, he's kind of a rock, he never blinks, or is it going to be our second-year player out of Utah, Cole Bishop, who is loose, who started for us in the AFC Championship game, and I think has a pretty high ceiling, but a low floor as we look at him playing and progressing in this second season. But hey, this isn't just a battle for a practice squad. This isn't just a battle for a roster spot. This is actually one of the Bills' biggest decisions. Well, I'm Colin, and this is Crack the Table, all Bills, no breaks. If you want to tune into more breakdowns like this every single day, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss a single video. But right now, do you think that Hamlin or Bishop is going to be the better safety for this Buffalo Bills team in 2025? Comment down below. But before I sway you one way or the other, make sure you comment that right now. So this last year, we had Micah Hyde on our team as a starting safety. You know, he had a career Green Bay, a couple things here and there, but also ended up finishing his career here and retiring here in Buffalo. And so now it's a new era for the Buffalo secondary, right? We got Trey White back, which is maybe a consistent thing, but we're talking safety today. Taylor Rapp is holding down one spot, but the other one, that's where I think the decision gets a little bit spicy. It's kind of like making the decision between the old tried and true wings place that you love to go to, that you know how much it's going to cost, you know what you're going to get, and you know that the recipe hasn't changed at all. Or you could maybe go to a new spot that might cost a little bit cheaper and might actually even taste a little bit better and actually just be overall a better experience. That's what we're talking about today, right? We're talking about the battle of the best wing spots, right? Could you pick Damar Hamlin, who's the tried and true guy, or would you want to go with Cole Bishop, who's on that rookie contract, who's got that high ceiling, who's potentially going to develop into a better player long term? Who would you start, right, in week 1? This isn't a decision of who's making the roster. This is a decision on who is going to be the best corner or the best safety for this team going forward for the Buffalo Bills. So Cole Bishop, he was drafted 60th overall in 2024 out of Utah, and he was ultimately built for McDermott's scheme. He's 6'2", 205, lengthy, still a little bit raw, can handle deep coverage, which we'll talk about in a second, but he's physical enough to also stick his nose in the run game. And that's exactly the kind of safety that you want on this Buffalo Bills squad. But as a rookie, he played all 16 games to some degree, but he only started 4 of them. Right? He had 40 tackles, but his biggest stage was on the AFC Championship floor, right? He stepped in for an injured Taylor Rapp, and he played every single snap. He had 10 tackles. He showed up. There was one open field tackle, which we would want to see development out of this, but the Kareem Hunt got through the front 7. Cole Bishop probably should have just smoked him. Probably should have just been able to stop him in an open field tackle. But Kareem Hunt went through for the touchdown, and we want to see that grow. We want to see him take a step forward and not let that sort of thing happen in this year. But though in pass coverage, he was okay. He was playing against Mahomes in the biggest game of his entire career, and Bishop didn't kill us in pass pro. Cole Bishop, he doesn't just fill a spot. He's a player who needs reps, who needs opportunities to fail and to learn and to grow. And he needs eventually just more opportunities for this coaching staff to develop him into the player that he was drafted to be. Again, even on such a big stage, he played well, and that's worth paying attention to. But right now, Bishop's going through that quad strain, and we know even from last year, he had an injury this time last year with his shoulder. It's going to sideline him from some work. We don't love seeing that for even a second-year player. A rookie is terrible, but a second-year player who's vying for a starting roster spot, while a minor injury isn't terrible, we want him to see these reps. We want him to continually grow and to get more comfortable starting alongside Taylor Rapp for the long-term health and flexibility and versatility of this team. But here's the thing in camp, when you're getting healthy and you're not out there getting reps, someone else is on the field, and that's Damar Hamlin. And he's been the one who's taking full advantage of these first-team reps day in and day out while this quad injury is getting nursed back to health for Cole Bishop. This is just like, again, it's like leaving your tailgate spot and coming back to someone who's sitting in your chair, right? Getting back the chair isn't always automatic. You kind of got to negotiate your way there or whatnot. But hey, Damar Hamlin's 2024 season was exactly what you'd expect from him. It was steady. It was physical. In a few things here or there, let go, but is mostly reliable, right? 14 starts, almost 90 tackles, couple interceptions. He had a couple of pass breakups, which is nice, but he led all the Bills safeties in snaps, and he didn't just survive. He occasionally made plays. Now, again, I think the secondary on defense is one of the most difficult positions in the NFL, cornerback and safety. Safety also as well here. Sometimes I feel like safeties are just trying to survive back there. But Damar Hamlin, he's not the flashiest guy in the field, and sometimes he makes mistakes, right? Sometimes he gets beat deep, and I want to show you this even just from the preseason game if you tune in here. Thankful for air raid here, but you're going to see Damar Hamlin at the top here, tailing this wide receiver. Ball gets thrown up. Again, it's the Giants. This is nobody crazy here, but the ball gets thrown up, and Damar Hamlin just gets beat one-on-one. This is not something that we want to see going into this year with Cole Bishop or Damar Hamlin. Cole Bishop, I think one of the things that we're going to see from him is we're going to see, because of his length and because of his youthful athleticism, I think he's still going to have a step on this. He's not just going to be trailing a wide receiver, especially a wide receiver 3 or 4 on a Giants team. I think he's going to be somebody who's actually can perform a bit better, who can show up late in the game and get a pass break up there, get a hand on the ball, and actually show that he can play on single coverage by himself against even, wide receiver 3s and 4s. Again, we want him to be able to be versatile. We want him to be able to show up and stop the offense from getting the ball down the field and pushing the ball down the field through these passing situations. But ultimately, we really need to make sure that we don't let these plays be consistent and turn into touchdowns. But again, we've got Taylor Rapp on the other side, who I think is going to give us a consistency and versatility on one side. But the decision between Damar Hamlin and Damar Hamlin and Cole Bishop is that of consistency versus ceiling. This is, I think, where the big decision comes in. Do you want the consistency of Hamlin, who honestly in zone coverage can do just well, or do you want the ceiling of Bishop, who can play zone and also who can play in man coverage? Because if Cole Bishop gets better at man coverage and he can play in these single high safety sets and he can just go tail a guy, he can jab him at the line, he can be physical with him, he can use his length to his advantage and be a one-on-one lockdown corner in some of these plays, it can take our defense from good to dangerous. I've gushed about this already. I've talked about this already. But our front seven, I think, is 12 personnel deep. I think we've got 12 players on our front seven, our defensive line, linebackers, and defensive ends that could start on about any roster. But if you pair a safety coverage that has good versatility, that means that we can then send corner blitzes and safety blitzes throughout the entire game, and we can disguise them, right? That's where the raw and inconsistent sophomore player could either bite us or benefit us. His youthful athleticism, his game knowledge, his game IQ could really help us along the way. But again, not to mention that we can trust this coaching staff to develop him to be a more well-rounded player as the season goes on. Again, this isn't just a rookie who's drinking from the fire hose anymore, who didn't go straight from college ball to the draft to the NFL field. He's had all offseason to learn more and more about the game, and he's had all offseason to learn more and more about our playbook and our schemes. You don't just draft a safety in the second round to be a special teamer forever. The Bills brought in Cole Bishop to eventually take that job and lock down that job. Damar Hamlin's been a great player for us for years, but ultimately he's probably not going to lead us to greater play and a greater higher ceiling. And that's where I think right now, when you look at this depth chart, you want both Rapp and Bishop starting when healthy. Yes, have Damar Hamlin as a filler here or there on a rep if we need him because we need a breath. But ultimately, we want him to be the first backup, right? We want him to be competing consistently for that starting job, but ultimately we want to see Cole Bishop develop. You know, I was on Twitter yesterday and I was looking at this top 20 list of safeties. We didn't have a single safety on that list, but I think by year's end, if that list was best duos in the NFL, I think you're going to see the Buffalo Bills on that list. These two guys together, Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop, I think are going to be put in positions to succeed, to make turnovers, to pass down, passes down. They're gonna stuff the run, and I think Bobby Babich is really going to scheme up a really healthy, balanced, well-rounded coverage scheme so that these guys can be put in a position to succeed consistently. Again, it's not about who's running out of the tunnel week 1 for me. This is about what kind of secondary the Buffalo Bills are going to have later this season and even into next season. Hamlin gives you that high floor at the beginning of the season and maybe could be great early on as the quad injuries get nursed up for Cole Bishop, and he gives you some peace of mind. But Bishop truly offers you that higher ceiling that we want in the playoffs and even going into the future years. Both are valuable, but only one gets the job. I'm Colin. This is Crack the Table. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you tomorrow.